CPA is here.
JJ the CPA has been serving thousands of businesses for the last 27 years. He is also a national speaker teaching CPAs across the U.S. about the latest tax laws, as well as an author and now what many call a YouTuber. Through this COVID era, JJ became a voice of calm during the pandemic, guiding countless businesses, self-employed individuals, and fellow tax pros through the PPP maze. Now, JJ is taking his know-how to help businesses that have asked for his help to rebound out of this mess that no one saw coming. He is doing this out of his own pocket, not for a fee, and to simply show the American business owner that they are not alone. JJ, America's CPA, is here to help save the entrepreneurial spirit, one business at a time.
Who's ready to have a great day? Me. You.
So, we all know this book. Some of you guys are lucky enough to have it in your hands. And this is a bunch of information and a bunch of knowledge from the one and the only JJ the CPA. So, he starts his book out with, who's on your team? What professionals should I hire to help me with personal and business matters? Now remember, this book is filled with 60 questions that he has received from his clients over his 28 years as a CPA. So, JJ the CPA here, every person in every business should have these 4 core professionals involved with their personal and business decision-making process. A CPA, EA, who specializes in what you need. A banker specializing in what you need. An attorney who specializes in what you need. And an insurance professional who specializes in what you need.
So why did my book that I wrote for you say specialize in what you need? Because you don't just Google, I need a doctor, and then the first doctor that rolls up, you go to them, right? So when you think of a CPA, they don't know everything, okay? We all have specialties the same way that you would go to a doctor, right? Some work on feet, some work on your brain, some do surgery, some don't. So CPAs, attorneys, bankers, financial advisors, insurance professionals, we all have our specialties. Now, if you're going, in my opinion, to one person and they say, well, we kind of do everything, run, okay? Why would you want a jack of all trades just for some convenience because they're going to be the master of none? So you want to make sure with who you're bringing on your team, they specialize in what you do, okay? With the toy store, like, do they specialize in retail? Do they specialize in inventory? If you are running a fitness, do they work with other types of businesses that work with the public and service and membership fees? If you're working with, or you're a barbecue restaurant, are you working with somebody that works with restaurants, right? Understands inventory. If you're a dance studio, that's a real specialty there, but do you work with somebody? Have you hired somebody? Is your team somebody that works with a service that's based on a season, that's based on monthly memberships or monthly fees, that's working with a small business? So it's not one size fits all. It isn't with me, and it shouldn't be with whoever you're working with. From my perspective, I have a very specific type of client that I work with, period, the end. That's what you're looking for, someone who's going to specialize. And if they don't, and you don't care, then no offense, then I don't think you really care as much about your business as I feel you should. And that's why you probably wouldn't be a good candidate to be my client, because I need people and clients that are interested in working with someone who's specialized.
Wow, did that make sense to you guys? Let's move on. When you are narrowing down who you need on your team advising you, next, ensure that they work with what you need personally or with your type of business, so you are getting the best advice based on professionals' experience with what you need.
So there's two questions that you can ask to determine if somebody's a fit right off the bat. Obviously, can't rely on this only, but the two questions are, and if I'm getting asked this, I know I'm dealing with somebody that is looking for someone who's specialized, which is what percentage of your practice is clients like me, and what do you need from me for us to get started? And the thing is that maybe you come across a practice and they're like, well, 90% of our clients are restaurants. Okay, wow, you've got a real expert. But for most small businesses, you're not going to find somebody that has that high of a percentage of who they work with as clients. So in my opinion, if they have about 5 to 10% of their clients that are in your industry, then they're going to be experienced. They're going to know enough. So even if somebody only had 100 clients, right? They're doing 100 tax returns. I'm telling you, as a seasoned CPA with my own practice, after 28 years, I'm telling you that if somebody did 5 to 10 tax returns out of 100 that were in the restaurant industry, or something that's in the service that includes membership fees, or in the retail business, that's going to be somebody that's going to be a good indicator for you as being a fit. And then in terms of when you say, what do you need from me for us to get started? You're now knowing really how proactive they are, because a proactive professional CPA is going to be able to say, well, I need the last 3 years of this, and this. I'll send you an email. And you know what? Get over it being glossy. Get over it being sexy. Get over that crap. Because all that typically means is that they have an accounting or they have a marketing department. It means that maybe they've spent a little more time on, sexing things up to give you something. But is that really what matters for you when you go in and you talk to a doctor? It's like, well, he must be really good. He's got this really glossy, slick 5-page pamphlet telling us how they work. What you're interested in is how quickly did they get the list? Did they even have a list? Did they know what they needed from you? Because if they know what they need from you, then they know you. They know your type of client. So an example is if you're a retail business and you say to them, hey, I would like to go ahead and hire you. What do you need from us to get started? And they don't ask for your inventory count. They don't ask you if you have a POS system. If they know after talking with you that you have a membership fee or monthly fees that you're collecting, if they don't say something that talks about, well, give us a list of your membership fees or give us a list of how you're charging your clients. If you're a restaurant, kind of the same thing with the inventory. But my point is that you should be able to get a few key questions back from them, a few things on that list that would go, okay, yeah, they get it. They understand the jargon, or they understand what I'm needing. Because if somebody's like, well, I'll get back to you, and then they don't, or, well, let me think about it, or, well, why don't you just give me what you need, what you think I need, or whatever. Sometimes it also just tells you they might just be too busy for you. They may not be organized to take on a new client. So those two questions are pretty much a good indicator, in my opinion, that
Something to note, and I hope that you guys are taking notes. I am, because JJ's throwing down some golden nuggets of knowledge, and you guys need to be writing it down. And so that way you have something to come back to look at. So in his book, he says something to note. There are really two types of businesses which are determined on what they sell. The revenue of the business. The service industry sells based primarily on labor sold. Now, examples of these would be doctors, lawyers, accountants, counselors, personal trainers, consultant, hairstylists. You get my drift. And buying and selling items. Now, these are items that are sales based on products sold. Examples would be a clothing store, restaurant, wholesale, Amazon, candy shop, toy store, grocery store. You get the gist.
So when looking at two different kinds of revenue, the purpose of that is so that you have an idea what sector you fall in, okay? Are you selling services or are you selling products? because typically it's one or the other. And remember this, selling products is not a service. If you're selling something to somebody and they don't buy and you collect zero from them, that's still selling a product. And the reason that's important is if you find that there is somebody that you're working with and you've hired them, do they understand those two sectors as well? Even if they do 5 to 10% in what you do, okay, or your industry specific, you still want to make sure that as you're progressing with them in the beginning, do they really grasp the service industry? Do they really grasp, in essence, the sale of products?
So now let's talk specifically about CPAs. With CPAs, there are two major categories of CPA firms: tax and audit.
Now listen, okay, when we're talking about CPAs, okay, and you're talking about tax and audit, they're completely different. So from my perspective, if you need both, you need to hire two firms. Why? Because those that do auditing can't advise you, period. If they're doing your audit, they have to be independent. If they're doing your audit, they can't give you advice. Even if they have two separate departments, they'd have to be two separate companies. So if you need an audit, okay, I'm talking about a financial audit, and you need tax, you need two separate companies. But I'll tell you this, if you don't need an audit, then when you're talking to a CPA firm, ask them, do you do auditing? And I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you're a small business owner, okay, if they do auditing, they might be too big of a firm for you, okay? You don't need a big time firm. What you need is a smaller firm. If you're a small business and you don't require a financial audit, you don't want a large firm. You don't.
Write that down.
Oh my gosh. Everybody's like, oh, well, I've got a big time CPA firm. Okay, how big time are you? Because a big CPA firm, okay, you have like 20, 25 CPAs, okay? That's a business that's doing 15 to 20 million, okay? If you're doing less than $1 million, you do not want to be with a large CPA firm. And I love large CPA firms. I send business to them. You need to be with a smaller firm. A smaller firm would be 5 or less CPAs. Why? Because they're going to know your stuff. You go to a big firm, your stuff's getting worked on differently every year. Do not think you're getting better service. Do not think you're getting better advice at all by going to a large firm. I don't even care about the price. I don't care if a smaller firm charges you triple what some big firm would charge you. Specializing in what you do, a big firm, if you're doing less than $1 million, do not be at a big firm. You're doing less than $2 million, do not be at a big firm. You're doing less than $3 million, do not be at a big firm, period. Okay? And what's happening with the big firms right now? Okay? They are gobbling up the smaller firms. So if you now were with a small firm and they got gobbled up by a large firm and you're a small business, less than $1 million, less than $2 million, fire them and go get yourself a new CPA firm. Now, let's talk about our brothers and sisters in the EA industry.
So now we're going to talk about an EA. And we've actually had this question a lot on our YouTube channel whenever they're like, what's an EA? I don't understand what that is. Well, tune in and get ready to take some notes because I'm about to tell you. An EA is an enrolled agent, and they specialize in tax, as their designation and oversight comes from the IRS. An EA must pass an exam by the IRS on tax and attain annual continuation education on tax matters, which is key. For bookkeeping and payroll services, they would be similar to a CPA firm. Some do and some don't. I will always recommend a CPA first, as JJ is a CPA, but I see no issues in someone hiring an EA for tax services as long as they can meet other criteria of being experienced in your area of need.
Okay, I'm popping in again right here on this. So EAs don't get enough respect. They don't get enough respect from my industry as CPAs. Why? It just is what it is. We're both the same. We're probably the same personalities. What's the difference? CPA, they have to have a degree in accounting. They have to pass, this national test. They have to have, 2 years of experience now, and then they have licensing. Well, with an EA, okay, the EA, they have to pass an exam that's administered by the IRS, which is hard. They have to have continuing education every year, like a CPA. There's not a requirement for an accounting degree, and I don't believe there's any requirement for experience. But I'm telling you this right now. Somebody that doesn't have a degree and doesn't have experience, most likely, I don't even know how they could pass an EA exam. Okay, so for somebody to be qualified to pass the EA exam, the enrolled agent exam, then you've got someone that's taking it serious. You've got somebody that can represent you before the IRS like a CPA. And from my perspective, you're dealing with somebody that's taking what they do seriously. You want to still ask all the same questions. But I do know that EAs and CPAs in a lot of ways are equal, but on tax, okay? So EAs can't do auditing, but EAs can do bookkeeping, okay? EAs can do the tax work the same as a CPA. So find out what you have, and then if they don't have an EA and they're not a CPA, but they've been in business a long time, I would give that person a pass. One of the first accountants I worked for out of college was not an EA and was not a CPA, but he'd been in the industry, he'd been doing taxes for over 30 years and bookkeeping and payroll. That's someone that knows what they're doing, okay? I'm just gonna tell you this right off the bat though. If somebody's been in business less than 2 years and they haven't achieved their EA by then, and they haven't achieved the CPA by then, and they've been in business less than 2 years, okay? I wouldn't hire them. You want someone who's serious about what it is that they're doing. And I don't mean to offend the person who's been in business for 2 years and doesn't have their EA and CPA, because maybe they're on their way. Okay, I'm not here to offend anybody. What I'm here is on your behalf as you, as the consumer, trying to make sure that you're hiring somebody that's qualified. It's the same as if you went to the doctor, right? You can see the doctor, you can also see a PA. In a lot of ways, they are the same, right? There are some minor differences between a general practitioner doctor and a PA. Now, I'm sure the doctors will be like, well, there's way more differences than that. I got you. I hear you. Point is, ask. Okay? It should be on their business card. It should be on their website. It should be somewhere. Ask, okay? Ask if they are an EA or a CPA, and then that's in addition to making sure that they're specialized and have your needs. All right, hey, what's next? Well, great question on that, Amanda. And for those of you that have worked with your advisors for a long time, catch my segment after the blooper reel, okay? But let's now address, though, what if you don't have an advisor that's in the tax world or in the, that's a CPA or EA or a tax advisor? You need to find one, okay? And no offense, they're not at H&R Block. And the biggest reason I would just tell you that is that it's just a different person that you'd be dealing with every year, that's all. And then if you're going to a smaller firm, typically you're gonna get that kind of service. So you're looking for a smaller firm. You're looking for a smaller tax and accounting. When you call them, how quickly did you get a call back? Ask them these simple questions, but then don't be afraid to then also just let them know that you've not worked with a CPA or an EA or a tax pro in the past. And so you have a couple of questions, these that I'm giving you. And then you can say, because I appreciate it when somebody says it this way, and just say, hey, you'll have to forgive me, but because I haven't dealt with a CPA or an EA before, whatever they are, I'd like to get an idea of the fees. I know that you're worth, like, you need to say this to the person, and if you don't, you're just gonna piss them off. Say, I know that whatever you're charging is worth it, obviously, because your clients are gonna pay it. It's just that I'm a small business owner, so I'd like to get an idea of what the fees are. Here's usually the difference between I have someone and I don't, okay? The person that doesn't, okay, they don't wanna spend the money, okay? But guess what? They paid this much more in taxes too, okay? So how do you make sure that you're getting the right fit? Ask those questions. It's okay to ask how much it's gonna cost. And if you were to ask me and you say, well, what's a good going rate? Well, I charge my clients $400 an hour. That's a good going rate. If you're a brand new business out the door, maybe that's not a fit for you. But also think of this, someone who charges $100 an hour, are they gonna take 4 hours to get your stuff done? Or are you gonna hire someone at $400 an hour and they get it done in an hour because they are the expert in what you need? So for those of you that don't have one, get one. Absolutely.
Or, I'm coming in because let me tell you, if he wasn't my soulmate, I wouldn't be able to afford him. And I understand that there's probably a lot of you guys out there that are in that same type of situation. So, JJ the CPA cannot be your CPA, can't take you on as a client, but he has a million videos out there and he has so much knowledge. And this is just the beginning. He also has this book that will help you and guide you. So, if you at this moment right now cannot hire a CPA or hire an EA, we get it. Not everybody can afford JJ the CPA. I know I couldn't have.
CPA in your pocket.
He is your CPA in the pocket, but he can give you the general stuff that's on the recipe on the back of a cake box for you to put your cake together and bake it yourself. Betty Crocker's not in your kitchen cooking a cake, but she told you how to do it on the back of her box.
Well, and the whole premise of this book is how to work with your advisors better. The whole premise of my channel, the whole premise of this video is to work with your advisors better. You don't have to expect they know everything. They need to have a good gist. They need to teach you. They need to work with you. If you can't afford one, well, you can afford to work with somebody at least once a year to prepare. And so a book like this, videos like mine, or if you're coming across others, don't look at it as, well, now I know how to do it A to Z. Look at it as, now I know how to ask better questions. I understand the concept better so that when I go and sit with this individual, they don't have to spend a half hour educating me on the basics. I know the basics. I know the right questions to ask. The way you're tuning into YouTube, we appreciate it. We love it. And look at it as a way to work with your advisors better. So here are the businesses that we're working with in this season of JJ the CPA here.
Hi, my name is Gwen Ottenberg. I own Imagine That Toys.
All right, get ready. I know you already are, but get ready because you are getting ready to break out. And even if you're at the top of your game, you're number one in the nation, guess what? You're getting ready to be number one in the world. Yep, yeah, that's absolutely true. All right, hey, have a great day. JJ the CPA out. Oh, and if you know somebody that would love to see this video in the sense of pumping them up, I'd love it if you share. It's not, the point of the video is not for you to share it. It's to say, you're awesome. All right, enough, right? Never enough. Why? Because you're awesome. Really, you are.
Work, cause money never sleeps. You never met a CPA quite like me. You never met a CPA quite like me.
Firms, tax, and audit.
Where you were.
Okay.
So, sorry, just start from the top.
Professionals should I hire to help me with
So my response is what my grandfather said to respond as, which is, well, hey, I got a question for you before I comment. Why are you asking me? So when you're asking somebody, here's your takeaway, and they give you that quick answer, question that. Question that. So stop asking the questions on the sideline, okay? And asking them specific questions about your circumstances. Asking something in general, sure. You know, if someone's asking me something in general, happy to answer, okay? What you want to ask is, hey, what kind of clients do you work with, right? And then say, well, you know, a quick question, just if I was to want to, you know, hire you or become a client of yours, what would you need from me first? And if on the sideline, they can tell you those answers, and on the sideline, they can say, oh, well, you know, we've already got a packet, I'll send it to you, okay? And then what I'd say is, here's what I usually say though, if somebody says, I say, well, when's the last time you asked them? When's the last time you went to them? And I literally say this, so you need to say this. I say to them, call up your CPA, call up your advisor, whatever, and say, hey, I want to spend some money with you. I literally tell this to people. Call them and pay them, by golly. So in closing, so through this right now that's going on as you're coming out of this crisis, be sure that you are with advisors that you trust. So if you've been with somebody a long time and you routinely talk with them, that's the key right there. You routinely talk to them. They don't have to call you. Stop thinking that. Just stop it. You call them. You email them. You follow up with them. Okay? Because if you're with somebody for a long time and you have an open dialogue, a good communication, things will happen better for you and easier. You'll save more money. You'll do great things. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in.
Right? And you know why I get punchy? Because car dealerships piss me off of how they take advantage of my clients. And so I'm trying to give you backbone. I'm trying to piss you off so that you will go to the dealership and you'll be pissed off because they just want to sell you a car. And if you're pissed off, they want you out, but they want to sell you a car. So that's why, on your benefit, those that are watching, and I hope you made it to the end, because you're going to kill it. You got the secrets now. You got the 2 secrets, right? You start with the lower number, and then you take that, less 50% on the residual. It's going to be right around there, divided by the number of months of the lease. Boom, bam. And now you got yourself a good deal. All right, enough of that. Jeez. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA.
JJ the CPA here. Hey, thanks for tuning in. What I wanted you to know is this. I've had a YouTube channel the last 2 years. You need to go back and look at the videos I've put together for you going back to 2018. Here's one from 2019 where I saved thousands on auto leases. All right, see you for the next one.